Hi, my name is Jean-Luc. I'm French. I grew up in France, in the Alps, in Grenoble, for the most part. My parents were Christians. I grew up in a Christian home. Used to go to church when I was young. I was going to church because that was the thing to do. Not because I was a believer or because I was very convinced, or no, just because it was the thing to do as a family. And when I grew up, I started going to work on farms during the summer. And in one summer, I went to Switzerland, and the young man took me to his youth group. I was 14 years old then. And for the first time, I could figure out, I started asking questions about my faith, about what I believed. I could listen to those friends saying what they were experiencing with God, how God was answering their prayers, how God was talking to them through the gospel, the reading and meditation of the Bible, or through other people, through nature. And this kind of speech I knew. I mean, I had heard Christians talking that way. I was 14 years old and I was thinking, yeah, well, that's interesting. And I remember clearly at the end of one of those meetings, the youth leader asked me, "And you, Jean-Luc, where are you at in your faith? Are you a Christian?" And I probably answered something like, "Well, I go to church." "Well, yeah, I'm a Christian, I go to church." But then deep down I knew I was not meaning the same thing as they did. I didn't have the same experience as they had about Jesus Christ, about the kind of relationship they had with God. And so I was intrigued. And I started reading my Bible on my own, on that farm in Switzerland, every evening after work. Not because I had to, but because I was searching. And I said, I remember that night where I basically committed my life to God. I gave my life to God. I said, "God, I'd like to know you. I'd like to have you in my life like these friends have received you. Lord Jesus, I want to know you." And as I was praying, maybe that was the most sincere prayer I had ever done in my life, I felt a deep sense of His presence. I was kneeling by my bed, there alone, and I was overflowed by His presence. It brought me great joy, great peace. I confessed my sins. I knew I was very far from God, even though I was a Christian. I knew lots of things about God, but I did not know God personally. So it was like a stranger. It was more like Christian culture. And that evening, I really realized that Christ was alive, that He was resurrected, that He really loved me, and that He had given His life for me. And I gladly handed Him over my life. And from that night on, my life changed. After that, I started meditating regularly the Gospels. I did not understand everything at once, but I always had an answer from God on what to do, or an answer to a prayer, or a question I had, a direction I was asking. Somebody was asking me to ask forgiveness from somebody or make something right. And that was a new direction in my life. I'm really happy now, many years after, many decades after. I'm a minister myself. I am trying to share my faith with people who I have questions, or sometimes don't even have questions. I have no idea what God is all about. And so I can say thank you, God, for having come into my life. And right now I'm married. I have 7 children, 5 grandchildren, and they're all following God, all following Jesus Christ, and that's the grace of God. Just last week I lost my mom. She passed away about 10 days ago, and the night before she slept in the coma, I heard her distinctively quoting John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, so that whosoever believe in him should not perish but have eternal life. She did it twice in the night. She was semi-comatose. I don't know who she was talking to, but she believed it and it held her to the end. It was so important to her life. And so I'm so thankful to God for giving me parents that were so loving enough to show me the way in Jesus Christ. May the Lord bless you.